Hey everybody, this is Sean James, and this is Kentucky, a mini truck state. On today's video, we're going to work on our little fab table. I need to make a few little tools to make it more useful for myself. When building small parts, we have a few small things we're going to need to build whenever we get into the front end and some other things. So I want to go ahead and get this little table built. What I'd like to do is build some 90-degree brackets that will actually bolt to the table to hold stuff steady instead of trying to rely on just magnetic clamps that can move and aren't the absolute best way to do this. And so when you're trying to build more precision stuff, it's best if you can use tools that will make your job a little easier. Now I do realize building these tools myself, they're not going to be 100% precise, but we are going to do the best we can to make some really cool little fixture tools. So what we're going to be doing is using some 3/16 plate for the bottom and the sides where the clamps will go. We'll use 1/8 inch for the actual angle part of it where we weld it together. So I'll show you some drawings here in a second of what I'm planning to do to kind of explain it before we get into it. But before we do all that, let's make sure and do all the good YouTube stuff. Let's make sure to hit the like switch, comment down below, make sure and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I want to make sure and give a shout out to Corey Vincent. I've told him a few times that I was going to shout him out on the channel. He shares every single thing that I post on Facebook, and I really do appreciate it. He's like a really nice guy. He's building a really cool Mitsubishi mini truck, so I can't wait to see what he gets done with it. He just got a plasma table set up, and he said he's going to work on cutting some pretty cool parts, so I'm really excited to see what he does with that. So Corey, I appreciate your support. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. Also, I've got Tony's vise mounted to my sawhorse for this little project. They come in handy, so that way I don't have to worry about it moving around and all that stuff. So once again, thank you, Tony Fletcher. I think I'm just gonna name my vise Tony, and every time I need help, like, hey Tony, give me a hand. And so we're gonna be doing that from now on too. So I want to thank you guys for helping support my channel. That means a lot. Let's go ahead and look at what we're planning on doing as far as how to build these tools, and that way you guys have an idea what we're trying to get into. All right, so what I want to do is build some 90-degree clamps that will hold stuff on the table steady. And so the plan is I want to use 3/16 metal for this part and this part. And then this part here will be 1/8 inch. This will be 3/16. And the way I envision this in my head is this perimeter will just be flat stock that I have that I've cut for the table that I didn't use. I've got this stuff here, this flat metal. And I think the idea is, since the holes are 2 inches apart, if I make these roughly about 5 inches wide, that'll give me room to slide them a full slot to where I want them to adjust it. So that'll work out really, really well. So we're gonna just call this 5 inches this way and 5 inches this way. So, and then this front face will be just a solid piece, so that way we can clamp to it. The bottom is going to be slotted, so the bottom will look like this. It'll have the bracket. This will weld to the side. The plate will weld to the side. And what we'll do is we'll drill a hole at each end, and then connect that with the grinder to cut that out. And that way, when you put your pins in, this will be able to slide basically 1 inch forward, inch back. We're going to make this about 3.5 inches wide. That way you have room to adjust it to our material. So you'll have your front metal on the front there to attach it. And the idea is I want to build 4 of these, so this will be times 4. That way I can have the multiple of these if I need them, depending on what I'm trying to build. So I have one for each side of a project. I'm trying to build a square or something like that. And I believe 5 inches tall, 5 inches wide will be plenty. I'm not going to build anything really big with this table. I do have a plan in the future of building something, a bigger table for bigger parts. But like I said, for building, like if I had this when I did my bed mounts, when I did my shock tabs, all that stuff, and I welded all that stuff up, it would have been a whole lot easier than what you've seen in the past with those other drawings where I'm having to clamps and stuff like that. So this way I could actually make it work. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and get this stuff cut. Get the 1/8 inch out from over by where my welder usually goes, and go ahead and get those pieces cut, and we'll get everything ready to go together, and then we'll pick it up there. All right, I measured my scrap pieces here, and they're right at 15 inches, so I'm not going to be able to get 3 pieces at 5 inches out of each one of these. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and knock it down to 4 3/4. That way we can get 3 out of this one and 3 out of the other one. That'll give me 3 clamps right now. Then I'll have to rip out another one here in just a second. But so what we want to do is I got to drop 1.5 inches for the width of the saw guide. So what we'll do is we'll take and set this at about 6 1/4 here. And I want to make sure to use the square edge, which this edge doesn't feel real square. Let's use this side. We want to try and keep this as square as possible. And so that square is just close as I'd be able to get it with what I'm doing anyway. So that's 6 1/4 there. We'll check it over here. 6 1/4 there also, so we're good there. So what we want to do is go ahead and clamp this down. These are new clamps that will be turned into table tools here in just a minute. Like I said, we're not going to be building anything really big with this table other than just small parts, but it'd be nice to be able to hold things a little bit better. You guys have given me a bunch of business about the clamp and all that stuff, so I'm trying to do better by you guys as well. So, all right, now that we got that, let me grab my ear protection. Got it. All right, and we'll go ahead and just cut this off real quick. Check our measurements. And we're good. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and mark the same measurements here. Use the same square to clamp it down. And then we'll get those cut off with squares. And then we'll be able to cut these in half. So I just need to cut 2 of these off here right now. So it'll be the same thing. What I might even do is take and set it up where I just cut this edge off. This edge isn't very straight. So we'll do that first. We'll set this back at like 2 inches or anything over 1.5 inches. Good there. Get it where we can clamp it. Let's do it this way so we have more room. And this way we have real nice solid edges on everything. We don't have to worry about anything being off or out of square. Make sure flush there. Flush back here. Clamp it down. Slide this out. Set it up to 6 1/4. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, and I don't watch football, so I figured I'd come out and work on this. Try and get ahead. on videos. Here's one. Do the same thing. Pull that to about 6 1/4. That's what we got. Make sure this is flush here. Flush there. All right, now that we got those cut, we need to cut these in half. So we'll set up to do that. And we'll do the same thing. We'll have to get a mark there. Maybe just try and cut those by eye, because that part's not going to be super critical, because it's just getting material out of the way. Let's set this up where we get a good line on it. One, two. Right now, down and try to the hand. Check everything back. Because I'll get it. No. Man, it's so much easier. It takes forever. That's all we make it so much easier. All right. Now we have those cut. All four should be really close to the same. And they're good. So I'm happy with how those came out. We'll end up rounding over these edges just to make them look a little cleaner. I might even open this edge up just so I don't have to worry about getting down to that point when I get ready to weld that up. Let's go ahead and get set up on, and we'll have Tony help me. And we'll go ahead and get these set in there and get them cut. All right, well, I was off camera. I found another piece of scrap that I had, so I went ahead and cut it. It's just a little bit skinnier, like maybe 3/16 narrower than what these are, which will still be fine for what we're doing. So I can go ahead and make 2 clamps out of these, 2 clamps out of these. So what I gotta do now is go in and drill my hole in each end, then cut that slit out of two of the narrow ones, 2 of the wider ones. We'll get set up to do that. And what I'll do is I'll pre-drill a small hole first. Then I'll use a step bit, step up to 3/8. Then we'll connect that with our handy dandy little square tool here. And then once we do that, we'll put it in, we'll have Tony hold it, and we'll cut those center sections out. That way that clamp has room to move. And then once we get that done, I'll kind of show you why I'm doing it this way. So let me get set up. I'll probably drill all 4 holes at the same time, put these together. Well, they're different sizes, so I won't do that. I'll go ahead and get 2 set, get them drilled out, and we'll go get to that point. I'm trying to figure out how I want to set this up. And the way that these will work is whenever you have these in here, you can slide these on these pins where you want it. So if I look here, if I'm gonna have a piece of this on the front, so it'll never go to that hole. So that's as far forward as this one's gonna go. So I can mark it back behind the hole here. And that'll be the same thing whenever this comes back. If I go back, to this hole, that's as far as that's gonna be able to go, so I can mark it back there. So as long as I stay about a 1/2 inch off each end, I should be fine. So we'll just pull that out there and we'll mark a 1/2 inch. Same thing down here. And we know we don't want our drill bit to go out past that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these figured up for centers, and when I bring y'all back, we'll go ahead and get these holes drilled and we'll look at that. All right, now that we have these holes drilled, what we'll do is we'll take the square and we'll line up from edge to edge, and we'll cut that out. And we may have to do a little bit of file work, so we want to try and keep these a real good, clean fit. So I'll set it up on like a hyperlapse, and we'll go ahead and get all 4 of these cut out. I'm sure that's going to take a few minutes, because I want to make sure and get a good, clean, straight line there. So. All right, now that I have those cut, we gotta put them in our vise. Get Tony to hold it for us. And what we want to do is make sure that our bolts will fit smoothly through there. I've got a hand file. We'll just kind of run through to flatten it out. Just try and make it as easy as possible, which I'm not great with a hand file. And hopefully it doesn't take much to get that smoothed out. And that's why I do those. You can see I took the marker and marked it and inscribed it with a screwdriver to make it as smooth as possible. So, you know, that fits in there. A little tight there. Of course, the bottom's good. We'll have to flip it over to the top. But let's go ahead and get this just a little smoother into this corner. I think they're still hot. And I hope you guys appreciate this stuff. I don't know if it's something y'all want to see or interested in at all. It's something that I had to do, so I figured why not. There we go. Get you up there. I just want to kind of show, you know, that these little tables are extremely handy to have to build small stuff. If you're trying to be accurate at all, it's nice to know that you can do this yourself. So I've looked at the price of these little tables, and you know, you're talking $300, $400, $500. I have less than $75 in a piece of steel that was 4 foot by 4 foot when I bought it. So I made brackets and all sorts of other stuff to save myself money on this project. So then once we get this done, we'll get the grinder and clean it up better. Get all the burrs off the edge. Which that could be what some of this stuff is catching on too, so. Just clean them up a little bit there. See how that fits? You see now that'll slide in there pretty good. So we'll do a little more cleanup on it and get it perfect. But I'll go ahead and do all 4 of those. There's no sense showing this whole process because it's going to take a little while to get it exactly the way I want it. But you know, this is just to kind of show you guys an idea of what it takes to get there. And I know it's not the proper way to use a file, so I appreciate it. Clear the corner out. And I've got these shoulder bolts. They actually fit a lot tighter than a standard bolt. So that's fitting good there. Got just a little bit of a hump right there, nothing real big. But you can see you got to put it back here. You actually got to put it in, and they don't move. So really cool. I'll show you more about that here in a second. Pretty straight. I'm happy with how that turned out. So our bolt now fits and slides real smooth. Oops, right there, up and down. So you know, so the way that's going to work, maybe a little far to show you guys now, but the idea is this fits in here. You put your pin in, the other pin that holds it straight. Then you got room to slide it to your next set of holes, and then of course, with the clamps that we're making, you know, this back one can be a clamp. Then once you get it set, you can clamp that down to hold that piece flat. And then that'll leave you, you know, a 9-degree edge here to clamp to your work surface, to your, whatever it is that you're working on that you want to hold straight. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Well, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get these other 3 done, and then we'll come back. All right, guys, now that we got these brackets cleaned up, you can see it's just a nice clean slot. Our shoulder bolts now fit nice and clean in there, slide all the way across. So that's good. So the next thing we're going to want to do is get these set up where we can weld the 1/8 inch 90s to it. Like I said, this will be your front, so you have something to clamp to. This will be your bottom. It'll go just like this. And we'll weld together. And then that will make your 90-degree fixture for your table. So I'll get the welder drug over here and we'll get these tacked together. I'll probably use my magnets just to set these, and then we'll check everything really well with a proper square and make sure that it's right. So let me get my welder set up. I've got to run the drop cord and all that stuff out, so it'll take me just a second. So yeah, this is working out really well. And then here, I don't know, 20 minutes from now, we'll have this stuff welded up. Of course, we'll have to let it cool off, and then we'll be able to see how it works. All right, we're ready to start. Go ahead and putting these together. And so I tacked one together just to see how it would work out, just to make sure everything's gonna work the way I want it to. So we'll put this one on the bottom, and I want to weld the front edge of this together. I don't want them overlapping. I want an open corner there. That way I can get a good weld on the front of it and then metal work it. So it's a little bit of fun getting them lined up exactly the way you want. But we'll do that. We lay it down, push them both flush. I've got another one here that'll hold it square. So what we'll do is let us hang over the front just a little bit, hold that flat, adjust it here where you can see what we're doing. Mr. Good Angles all the time. Check this, make sure that it's square, and that is. That square there, we're flush there and there. So let's go ahead and just tack that in place. Just one at each corner. All right, and now we have that on, we'll take our top plate, just take and flip this over. We'll use that vise or that plate to hold that in place. Make sure that's still square. We're just gonna lay that on top. What I want to do, I want the same thing. I want to leave the open corners open so I have plenty of places to weld that. So it's just a matter of getting it lined up where we want it. We'll tack the bottom first, and then we'll set it up, check it with the square before we tack the top. Take my glasses off so I can see. Magnets always make it a pain in the neck. That's one of the reasons I want to get rid of having to do it that way. So now it's tacked together. Pull the magnets off. Now we can take and check it with our square here. And you can see, maybe, great fit. So let's go ahead and tack that there. Of course, being not grounded straight to the piece doesn't help much either, so. All right. And that's got it tacked together. So I can weld these edges and then metal finish them. And as you see, this will fit in there. That one will fit there. If I thought, I would have made them mirror images of each other. That's still fine. I can still reach around. It's not a problem. But now I'll be able to bolt these down and clamp material to it. You see how those meet up? Real happy with how those worked out. So let me go ahead and get these other ones set up, and we'll get them tacked together. Once I get this done, I'm going to round these corners so I don't have sharp edges to to catch myself on, because you know how it is, you get out in the garage, you end up getting cut on stuff like that. So let's go ahead and tack these other ones together. Do the same thing. Lay that down. Put it flush. Put it flush. There we go. I knew I was sitting on something, sitting on the other ledge. So let's push it forward a little bit so we're not going to weld to the table. It's not working with me on this one for some reason. The other ones I ground off. This one I didn't. Around the corner there, I shouldn't have to worry much about it, because once I weld it, it will weld up, so that'll be fine. So we know that the triangle magnets are pretty square here, and they're making a pain to set this where I want it. There we go. Same thing, we'll tack it. Let's see, yeah, take the bottom. Take it, check it, make sure it's good. And that one is not even close. That's okay. We can adjust it. That's why we don't weld them. So you can see, look on the back side, the gap isn't right, so it's just a matter of adjusting it a little bit. A little bit more. Ow, my finger pinched in there. Let's see. If I only had a fab table that was ready to use, as a matter of fact, if I could bolt that down, I could clamp that to it. We'll be good to go. But we are not ready for that yet, so here's what we can do. All right, check that now, see how it looks. Square. There we go. That's 3. The fun part's the weld and the edges. I'm excited about that. Like I said last week, just more practice, so I'm not gonna get mad about that at all, for sure. So let's do the same thing. Set this down. Lay that down. Already coming in handy, ain't it? Get the bottom set where we want it. Tack it in place. We'll make sure our welds aren't holding us up. Could have been what was going on with this one, but I wasn't thinking about that. Same thing, just check it. This got to come back just a touch, so that's fine. We'll take this off here. It's really good there now, so we'll tack it as well. Hopefully, we can do some decent welding today. It's always the challenging part. Some days you do really good, and other days you can't do for nothing. So the other day we did really good. I'm hoping that we can continue that trend today. Why can't you guys set up here to see a little better? I'm gonna go get my other glasses real quick. Pause. All right, back. I think I need a new ground clamp. This thing looks like bad way. I hope you guys are liking this little video. something a little different. Hopefully you guys learn something. I'm learning as I go, so like I always say, I'm not teaching you, I'm just showing you what worked for me. So hope this here so we don't run off the front. I'm not gonna grab that even with my gloves on. Should be toasty. I should have sprayed my little table down before I started welding, because that's going to cause problems with little. Keeping up that down. Whoa, moved on me. And that is that. That is welded up. And I think I can say they did okay. Happy with how it turned out. So they're all very, very hot. These are not the gloves for that, so yeah, get my thing here where I can handle you. I don't think those are anything to be mad at. All of them turned out really good. So All right, so now it's just a matter of letting that stuff cool off, then doing a little bit of metal finishing on it, and cleaning some of these corners up, so we'll be okay there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, you can tell it's got some stuff where it's holding it, but that'll be all right. Once we get it metal finished, that won't be a problem. So I'm gonna grab me something to eat. Let this stuff cool off because it's extremely hot, and then we'll come back and see what we got. All right, guys, and we're back, and these are nice and cooled off. I can handle them now, so we'll go ahead and get these set up where we can get them flap wheeled. And then once we get that done, I'll probably run over my table real quick just to knock some of these little BBs off, the welding spatter. I should have thought about that before I started welding on top of it. I've heard some people say you can use like vegetable oil, WD-40, all that stuff will work. It'll help keep it from sticking. Nothing too bad on there, but kind of, you know, I'm not used to having a little fab table here, so this will be the first time dealing with this kind of stuff. So let me get this set up, and we'll go ahead and get these ground down, and then we'll see how they work. All right, I've got them all metal finished out. They all turned out really nice. They sit nice and flat to the table, which is what we want. I'm real happy with how they're going to work. So, in case y'all haven't ever seen these before, these slots line up with the holes. And you can do a couple different things. You can use regular standard hardware. You get shoulder bolts. This is a 3/8 shoulder bolt. This is a 3/8 hole. Like I said before, these fit in really well. So you got to push it in, and it does not move. Versus standard bolts, you put them in. You sit on the table below, but you can see it has a little bit of slop there. So these are enough that you know, once you start putting any kind of pressure on your clamps, they're going to lock in immediately. Either one of these will work just fine. These are like $10 for 6. These are like, I think, 39 cents a piece. So you get what you pay for. Now, if this is an actual fab table, I'd probably want like a 5/8 size bolt, 5/8 size hole. But like I said, this is for small parts. I'm gonna have some small clamps just to hold this stuff to this table, so I can make small things. So that's what I need. So these bolts here would be more than enough. Like I said, you drop it in there, it fits. I mean, it's still fairly tight. Not a good angle, but it's still fairly tight. But just compared to the shoulder bolt that goes in there, much better. So, but the way this works is, you have your bolt that drops in, then you have a bolt in the back, your clamp. The clamp will drop in the back. You tighten that clamp down. I have room to slide this up to where I want it, which I have a fixture hole here, so I can push that to there, or I can pull it back. If that's not enough, I can even pull this out, and I can just use this by itself and have all that adjustment to set it. So that'll work out really well. You can go clear back to this hole back here and use the whole table. You have one up here, kind of the same thing. Oh, hit my thing. So you have plenty of options here on how to fix your stuff up and use your clamps to actually clamp your stuff together that way. So hopefully this makes sense to you guys. I've never actually had a fab table before, so this is all new to me. That's kind of why I did this. You can buy fixtures for tables, and turn up here. They're fairly expensive, and I can understand why they are, because they are a specialty tool. So this, like I said, I have $75 in a 4-foot by 4-foot piece of 3/16. I've used part of it in my truck. I've used part of it on this fab table. I still have part of it left. So all in all, I mean, if I had to figure this up, I have about maybe $50 in making this stuff. And then if you count like I said, the bolts that I bought, those were $20, $9 for 6. I bought 12 to make my tools, even though this standard bolt will probably work a little better. It has a little bit bigger head. You grind that off. You can weld your stuff to that. That's what these little clamps are going to be for. I'll cut the head off, weld the bolt to it, cut the thread off, and it'll be good to go. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this project. It's a little bit different. I know it's not anything to really do with my Mazda. It will be used for building parts here just in a few weeks. So I figured I'd go ahead and do this while I'm kind of waiting on stuff to show up. I appreciate you guys following along. Make sure to do all the good YouTube stuff. Make sure to hit the like switch, comment down below, subscribe, notification bell, all the good stuff. I'd really like to see more comments. That really helps the channel. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, stuff like that, don't be afraid to hit me up on there. Also, make sure and check out my Instagram page. I post a lot of not sneaky stuff, but ahead of video schedule, kind of what I'm working on at the time. So if you guys are on there, you'll see that we're about 2 weeks behind on videos ahead of what I am right now. So like I said, this was done Super Bowl Sunday. This video won't actually come out until 2 weeks after Super Bowl Sunday. So I hope your team won. Yay, sports. But other than that, like I said, I appreciate you guys following along. I'll make sure and catch you on the next one. Thank you.